What if I told you that an ordinary Canadian penny hiding in your pocket, an old coin jar, or a forgotten family collection could hold an incredible story, or even catch the attention of serious collectors? Today, we're uncovering the hidden secrets behind 5 extraordinary Canadian 1-cent coins: the legendary 1953 first Queen Elizabeth II cent, the historic 1991 and 1993 classics, the modern 1998 issue, and the unforgettable 2002 Golden Jubilee commemorative penny. From royal history and rare mint eras to collector demand, fascinating facts, and the truth behind their value, this documentary reveals everything you need to know. Stay until the end, because the next coin that changes your collection could already be in your hands. Let's play step 1. What if an ordinary-looking 1953 Canadian 1-cent resting quietly in an old coin jar could actually be one of the most fascinating pieces of Canada's royal history? At first glance, it appears to be nothing more than a small bronze coin decorated with 2 beautiful maple leaves and the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Millions of people have handled coins like this without ever realizing that the year 1953 marked the beginning of a completely new chapter in Canadian numismatic history. This was the very first Canadian 1-cent coin issued after the young Princess Elizabeth became queen following the death of King George VI in 1952. It symbolized the dawn of a new era for Canada and the entire Commonwealth. The initials KG beneath the maple leaves represent the famous artist George Edward Kruger Gray, whose elegant maple leaf design became one of the most recognizable coin designs in Canadian history. Although this coin has a face value of only 1 cent, certain rare varieties, especially the famous no-shoulder fold, NSF, and valuable mint-era examples, have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auctions. That is why collectors carefully inspect every 1953 Canadian cent they find, hoping to uncover a hidden treasure that many others overlook. Today, we are uncovering the complete story behind this remarkable coin, from the birth of a new monarch to the fascinating world of rare varieties, collector demand, historical significance, and the incredible discoveries that continue to amaze numismatists around the world. Long before this bronze cent entered circulation, history was unfolding inside Buckingham Palace. On 6 February 1952, King George VI passed away, bringing an end to one reign and beginning another. His daughter, Princess Elizabeth, only 25 years old, suddenly became Queen Elizabeth II while on a royal tour in Kenya. Across Canada, preparations began for updating coins, stamps, official emblems, and government documents to reflect the country's new sovereign. Creating a new coin was far more than replacing one portrait with another. It represented continuity, stability, and the enduring relationship between Canada and the Crown. Artists, engravers, and officials worked meticulously to produce a portrait worthy of the young queen. By 1953, Canadians finally held in their hands the first 1-cent coin bearing Elizabeth II's youthful image, making it an instant historical milestone. Every surviving example serves as a reminder of that extraordinary transition, preserving the moment when a young queen began one of the longest and most influential reigns in modern history. This historical importance is one of the main reasons collectors continue to pursue the 1953 cent with such enthusiasm, even decades after it disappeared from everyday circulation. The reverse of the 1953 Canadian 1-cent coin may appear simple, yet every detail carries meaning. The graceful pair of maple leaves represents Canada's natural beauty, national identity, and enduring spirit. These leaves were created by renowned artist George Edward Kruger Gray, whose initials KG appear just below the design. His goal was to create a timeless image that Canadians would instantly recognize. Unlike many countries that frequently changed their coin designs, Canada retained this elegant maple leaf motif for decades because it perfectly reflected the nation's heritage. The inscription 1 cent above the leaves clearly identifies the denomination, while Canada curves proudly along the bottom. The beaded border surrounding the coin not only enhances its appearance, but also reflects the Royal Canadian Mint's commitment to precision craftsmanship. Every line, every leaf vein, and every engraved letter demonstrates the remarkable artistry invested in even the smallest denomination. Although millions were struck, the beauty and symbolism of this design continue to captivate collectors and historians alike, making the 1953 cent far more significant than its modest value suggests. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse tells a story of youth, optimism, and a monarchy entering a new generation. Designed by sculptor Mary Gillick, the Queen is shown without a crown, wearing only a simple laurel wreath in her hair. This elegant portrait was deliberately chosen to portray a youthful sovereign rather than a heavily adorned monarch. Around the portrait appears the Latin inscription Elizabethiiidigitia Regina, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. This timeless phrase has appeared on countless coins throughout the Commonwealth and reflects centuries of royal tradition. The portrait became one of the most admired depictions of Elizabeth II because it captured both dignity and simplicity. However, the very first version introduced in 1953 also led to one of Canada's most famous coin varieties. Some early coins displayed almost no visible shoulder fold beneath the Queen's portrait, creating the legendary no-shoulder fold (NSF) variety. Because of technical concerns, the design was quickly modified later that same year, giving rise to the more common shoulder fold (SF) version. This small design difference transformed the NSF variety into one of the most desirable Canadian cents ever produced. Among experienced collectors, the words 1953 no-shoulder fold immediately attract attention because they refer to one of Canada's greatest modern coin rarities. During the earliest production run, the portrait lacked a clearly defined shoulder fold beneath the Queen's gown. Mint officials later discovered striking problems caused by the original design and introduced a revised portrait featuring a more pronounced shoulder fold. As a result, the original NSF coins were produced for only a short time before being replaced, making them significantly scarcer than the later version. High-grade NSF specimens are especially valuable because most circulated heavily before collectors recognized their importance. In exceptional uncirculated condition, certified examples have realized impressive prices in the collector market, while rare mint errors and extraordinary preservation can command even higher premiums. Nevertheless, it is important to understand that not every 1953 Canadian cent is worth a fortune. Most circulated examples remain affordable, while value depends on the specific variety, condition, authenticity, and rarity. This combination of history, artistry, royal significance, and the excitement of discovering a scarce variety is exactly what makes the 1953 Canadian 1-cent coin one of the most fascinating coins in Canadian numismatic history. As the first 1953 Canadian 1-cent coins rolled out of the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa, they represented far more than everyday money. Each coin reflected months of planning, engraving, die preparation, and rigorous quality control before it was released into circulation. The Royal Canadian Mint had already earned an international reputation for producing beautifully crafted coins, and the first Elizabeth II cent was expected to meet exceptionally high standards. Every bronze blank was carefully cut, polished, and struck under immense pressure to ensure the smallest details, from the Queen's hair to the delicate veins of the maple leaves, appeared sharp and consistent. Yet despite these efforts, the earliest production dies revealed weaknesses that led to the famous no-shoulder fold variety. Today, this manufacturing challenge has become one of the greatest attractions for collectors. What was once considered a technical problem has evolved into a celebrated rarity, proving that even imperfections at the mint can create legendary coins admired around the world. One of the reasons the 1953 Canadian cent has survived for generations is the quality of its bronze composition. Unlike modern plated steel cents, the 1953 issue was struck from a traditional bronze alloy containing approximately 95.5% copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc added for strength and durability. This rich copper content gave the coin its warm reddish-brown color when new. Over decades, natural oxidation transformed many examples into chocolate brown or deep mahogany tones, while uncirculated coins preserved their original mint red surfaces. Collectors often classify these coins as red RD, red-brown RB, or brown BN, and these color designations greatly influence market value. A fully original red specimen can be worth many times more than a worn brown example of the same variety. The combination of bronze composition, careful preservation, and limited handling explains why pristine 1953 cents remain highly prized in today's numismatic market. Hidden among the millions of ordinary 1953 cents are fascinating mint errors that continue to excite collectors. Some examples display off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank shifted during striking. Others show die cracks, die breaks, doubled lettering, clipped planchets, or weak strikes caused by worn dies. Although these errors were accidental, they transformed ordinary coins into collectible treasures. Professional grading services carefully examine such pieces to determine whether the error occurred during the minting process or resulted from damage after circulation. Genuine mint errors are far scarcer than damaged coins and can command significant premiums when authenticated. However, collectors should remember that internet claims of million-dollar pennies are often exaggerated. True value depends on rarity, condition, certification, and collector demand, not simply on the year alone. Understanding this distinction helps serious collectors separate genuine rarities from misleading online stories. The collecting journey of the 1953 Canadian cent truly accelerated decades after it entered circulation. During the 1950s, most Canadians spent these pennies without a second thought. Few imagined that subtle differences in the Queen's portrait would one day become the subject of detailed research and enthusiastic collecting. As Canadian numismatics grew in popularity during the 1960s and 1970s, specialists began comparing dies and documenting varieties with remarkable precision. Their discoveries elevated the 1953 no-shoulder fold variety to legendary status within Canadian coin collecting. Auction houses, dealers, and grading companies soon recognized its importance, and collectors started searching through old piggy banks, inherited collections, and forgotten jars of change. Even today, many people continue examining family collections in hopes of finding one of these elusive early varieties. This ongoing treasure hunt has kept the 1953 cent firmly in the spotlight for generations. The story of the 1953 Canadian 1 cent became even more meaningful on 2 June 1953, when Queen Elizabeth II was officially crowned at Westminster Abbey in London. Millions of people across Canada gathered around radios and the newly emerging television broadcasts to witness one of the most historic royal ceremonies of the 20th century. Although the coin had already entered circulation, the coronation transformed it into a powerful national symbol. Suddenly, this humble bronze cent was no longer just spare change. It became the first Canadian penny associated with the beginning of a reign that would eventually become the longest in Canadian history. Every coin carried the youthful image of a queen whose influence would shape generations. Today, when collectors hold a 1953 cent, they are holding a small but genuine piece of that remarkable coronation year, linking modern collectors directly to one of the most celebrated royal events ever witnessed across the Commonwealth. Another fascinating chapter in the history of the 1953 Canadian cent is the role played by professional grading companies. To an inexperienced eye, two coins may appear identical, yet specialists can detect tiny differences in wear, color, strike quality, and surface preservation that dramatically affect value. Organizations such as PCGS and NGC authenticate coins and assign grades ranging from heavily circulated examples to nearly perfect mint state specimens. A common circulated 1953 cent may have only modest collector value, while a certified mint state red no-shoulder fold example can command prices many times higher because of its rarity and exceptional preservation. Certification also protects buyers from altered or counterfeit coins, giving collectors confidence in the authenticity of their purchase. In today's competitive numismatic market, a professional grade often makes the difference between an ordinary collectible and a highly sought-after investment piece. Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding the 1953 Canadian 1 cent is not how many were minted, But how many truly exceptional examples still exist today? Millions entered circulation, yet decades of everyday use caused most to become worn, scratched, or damaged. Others were melted, lost, or discarded after Canada discontinued the 1-cent coin in 2012. As a result, collectors now compete for a much smaller population of well-preserved coins. Especially the famous no-shoulder fold variety and authenticated mint eras. Every year, newly discovered examples remind the numismatic community that remarkable finds are still possible. Somewhere inside an old family collection, a forgotten coin album, or a dusty box hidden in an attic, another rare 1953 cent may still be waiting to be identified. That possibility keeps the hunt alive and ensures that this historic Canadian penny continues capturing the imagination of collectors around the world. As the decades passed, the humble 1953 Canadian 1-cent quietly transformed from everyday pocket change into a respected historical collectible. When these coins first circulated, they purchased small everyday items and passed through millions of hands without attracting attention. Yet history has a remarkable way of changing the importance of ordinary objects. Today, this bronze cent stands as the very first 1-cent coin of Queen Elizabeth II's Canadian reign, representing the beginning of an era that lasted more than 70 years. Collectors no longer see it merely as a 1-cent denomination. They recognize it as a symbol of Canada's post-war growth, royal heritage, and outstanding mint craftsmanship. The passage of time has elevated its significance, reminding us that even the smallest coin can preserve an extraordinary story for future generations. One of the biggest misconceptions surrounding the 1953 Canadian 1-cent is the belief that every example is worth a fortune. Social media videos often claim that any 1953 penny can sell for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. The truth is much more fascinating because genuine rarity depends on several important factors. The famous no-shoulder fold, NSF, variety, authenticated mint eras, exceptional strike quality, original red surfaces, and certified mint state grades are what make certain examples highly valuable. Most circulated 1953 cents remain affordable collector coins rather than life-changing discoveries. Understanding this difference allows collectors to appreciate the true rarity of exceptional pieces while avoiding unrealistic expectations created by exaggerated online claims. Knowledge, careful examination, and professional authentication remain the most valuable tools in successful coin collecting. In the end, the remarkable journey of the 1953 Canadian 1-cent teaches one unforgettable lesson. True treasure is often hidden in the places we least expect. A small bronze coin once exchanged for everyday purchases has become a cherished historical artifact that connects generations through royal history, artistic excellence, and the excitement of numismatic discovery. Whether you own a common circulated example or are fortunate enough to possess the legendary no-shoulder fold variety or a genuine mint era, this coin represents an important chapter in Canada's past. Its story continues to inspire collectors around the world to examine every detail, preserve every original surface, and respect the history carried by even the smallest denomination. The next extraordinary discovery may still be waiting inside an old family collection, a forgotten coin jar, or a dusty album tucked away for decades. And perhaps, just perhaps, the next rare 1953 Canadian cent waiting to amaze the collecting world could already be in your own hands. Step 2. Imagine discovering an ordinary-looking 1991 Canadian 1-cent hidden inside an old coin jar, unaware that this tiny bronze coin represents the closing years of one of Canada's longest-running coinage traditions. At first glance, it appears simple, a pair of graceful maple leaves on one side and the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the other. Yet behind this modest appearance lies a fascinating story of Canadian heritage, remarkable craftsmanship, royal history, and a denomination that would eventually disappear forever. Millions of Canadians once carried this coin in their pockets without giving it a second thought, but collectors now study every detail, searching for rare mint eras, flawless mint state examples, and exceptional varieties. The initials KG beneath the maple leaves honor the celebrated artist George Edward Kruger Gray, whose timeless design became one of the most recognizable symbols in Canadian coinage. Although most circulated 1991 cents remain common, extraordinary examples with outstanding preservation or genuine mint errors have become highly desirable among numismatists. Today, we uncover the complete story behind this remarkable bronze cent, a journey through history, craftsmanship, collecting, and the enduring legacy of Canada's smallest circulating coin. Travel back to Canada in 1991, a nation experiencing rapid technological progress while proudly preserving its traditions. Cash remained the heart of everyday commerce, and the humble 1-cent coin continued to play an essential role in daily life. Every purchase, no matter how small, depended on accurate change, making the penny one of the most frequently handled coins in the country. Children filled piggy banks with them, shopkeepers counted them by the hundreds, and families stored them in jars without imagining that the Canadian penny itself was approaching the final decades of its existence. During this period, the Royal Canadian Mint continued producing millions of 1-cent coins to meet public demand, ensuring that the familiar maple leaf design remained part of Canadian life. Few people realized that these everyday coins would later become cherished reminders of an era before the penny was discontinued, giving the 1991 issue a unique place in modern Canadian numismatic history. The reverse design of the 1991 Canadian 1-cent demonstrates how simplicity can achieve timeless beauty. Two elegant maple leaves, delicately joined by a single stem, symbolize Canada's natural identity, unity, and enduring national pride. This iconic artwork was created by George Edward Kruger Gray, whose initials KG appear discreetly beneath the leaves. His design first appeared decades earlier, but remained virtually unchanged because Canadians admired its graceful balance and unmistakable symbolism. Above the leaves appears the denomination 1 cent, while below them the word Canada and the date 1991 proudly identify the nation and year of issue. Every tiny vein engraved into the leaves reflects the extraordinary precision of the Royal Canadian Mint. Although millions of identical coins were struck, the beauty of this design transformed an ordinary circulation coin into one of Canada's most enduring numismatic symbols. Turning to the obverse reveals the mature portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, surrounded by the Latin inscription Elizabeth Regina, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. By 1991, the Queen had already served for nearly 4 decades, making her portrait instantly recognizable throughout Canada and the Commonwealth. Unlike the youthful image found on the 1953 cent, this later effigy reflected a confident and experienced monarch whose reign had witnessed extraordinary historical events across the world. The portrait represented continuity, constitutional stability, and Canada's enduring relationship with the Crown. Every Canadian cent bearing this inscription served not only as currency, but also as a miniature historical document, preserving the image of one of history's longest-reigning monarchs. For collectors, this portrait marks an important stage in the evolution of Canadian coinage and royal iconography. Behind every 1991 Canadian penny stood the remarkable expertise of the Royal Canadian Mint, internationally respected for its advanced minting technology and exceptional quality standards. Each bronze blank began as carefully prepared metal before passing through powerful coining presses capable of striking precise details at extraordinary speed. Engineers continuously monitored die wear, striking pressure, and metal composition to ensure consistency across millions of coins. Yet despite this impressive quality control, occasional minting mistakes escaped detection. Off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, doubled letters, rotated dies, and other genuine mint errors entered circulation, later becoming prized discoveries among collectors. These rare production accidents transformed otherwise ordinary pennies into fascinating collectibles, proving that even the most carefully controlled manufacturing process can occasionally produce unexpected treasures. One of the greatest reasons collectors continue searching for the 1991 Canadian 1 cent lies in the possibility of discovering exceptional preservation. While most pennies circulated heavily and became worn, scratched, or tarnished, a small number survived untouched inside mint rolls, original bank packaging, or carefully preserved collections. Numismatists classify these coins according to their original color as red RD, red-brown RB, or brown BN. A brilliant mint, state red example displaying full original luster can be worth many times more than an ordinary circulated coin of the same year. Professional grading companies carefully evaluate strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal before assigning an official grade. As fewer flawless examples remain available each year, competition among collectors continues growing, making top-grade 1991 cents increasingly desirable in Canada's modern numismatic market. Beyond its beautiful appearance, the 1991 Canadian 1 cent tells an important story through its metal itself. Unlike many modern coins that use steel cores with thin copper plating, the 1991 cent was struck from a traditional bronze alloy containing approximately 98% copper, 1.75% tin, and 0.25% zinc. This composition gave the coin its rich reddish color when freshly minted and made it one of the last generations of Canadian pennies produced with a high copper content. Over time, exposure to air, moisture, and everyday handling caused many coins to develop deep brown or chocolate-colored surfaces through natural oxidation. Collectors appreciate these natural changes because they reveal the coin's journey through history. However, examples that retained their original brilliant red mint luster became increasingly scarce, making them some of the most desirable 1991 cents available today. Every surviving coin preserves a piece of Canada's traditional bronze coinage before later changes in metal composition transformed the nation's smallest denomination. Among experienced numismatists, excitement often begins when an ordinary-looking penny displays something unusual. Genuine 1991 Canadian 1 cent mint errors remain one of the most fascinating areas of collecting because no two error coins are exactly alike. Some examples were struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing, while others display clipped planchets where the metal blank was improperly cut before striking. Certain coins exhibit die cracks stretching across the surface, while rare doubled dies create noticeably doubled letters or numbers. Rotated dies, weak strikes, and dramatic striking errors also attract strong collector interest when authenticated. These mistakes occurred during the manufacturing process and escaped the Royal Canadian Mint's quality inspections before entering circulation. Because genuine mint errors are naturally uncommon, authenticated examples often command significantly higher prices than ordinary circulated pennies, making them exciting discoveries for collectors searching through old Canadian coins. Another remarkable aspect of the 1991 Canadian 1 cent involves specially produced collector editions. Alongside regular circulation strikes, the Royal Canadian Mint also manufactured proof-like and specimen coins for annual collector sets. These coins received greater care during production, featuring sharper strikes, cleaner surfaces, and superior eye appeal compared to ordinary circulation pieces. Proof-like coins were struck using specially prepared dies and carefully selected blanks, while specimen issues often displayed enhanced finishes and outstanding detail. Because these collector editions were preserved immediately after minting, many survive today in exceptional condition. Original government packaging further increases their desirability among collectors. Although these special issues are not as rare as famous mint errors, they represent some of the finest examples of Canada's craftsmanship and demonstrate the Royal Canadian Mint's dedication to producing coins worthy of both commerce and collection. As Canada's numismatic community expanded during the late 20th century, the 1991 Canadian 1 cent gradually gained recognition as more than simple pocket change. Coin clubs, exhibitions, dealer conventions, and specialized publications encouraged collectors to study even the most modern Canadian coins in remarkable detail. Many enthusiasts began assembling complete date collections of Canadian pennies, making the 1991 issue an essential piece within every modern set. Others focused exclusively on high-grade certified examples or unusual mint varieties. This growing interest transformed an everyday circulation coin into a respected collectible whose value depended not only on rarity, but also on preservation, originality, and historical significance. Today, collectors around the world continue searching for flawless examples, proving that modern coins can become historically important within a surprisingly short period. The auction market has demonstrated an important lesson about the 1991 Canadian 1 cent. Quality always matters more than quantity. Millions of these pennies were produced, yet only a tiny percentage remain in exceptional mint state condition with full original red color and virtually perfect surfaces. When certified examples of outstanding quality appear at major numismatic auctions, competition among collectors can become surprisingly intense. Rare mint errors, spectacular strike quality, or unusually well-preserved proof-like specimens often attract even greater attention. However, responsible collectors understand that auction prices reflect a combination of rarity, condition, demand, certification, and eye appeal rather than age alone. While internet headlines sometimes exaggerate values, the true market rewards only the finest and most authentic examples. This reality makes the search for extraordinary 1991 cents both exciting and challenging. Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding the 1991 Canadian 1 cent is how many exceptional examples still remain undiscovered. Across Canada, countless coin jars, inherited collections, forgotten drawers, and family albums may still contain beautifully preserved pennies that have never been examined by professional collectors. Every year, remarkable discoveries continue to remind the numismatic community that valuable coins do not always emerge from famous museums or prestigious collections. Sometimes they appear in the most ordinary places, patiently waiting for someone with careful eyes and proper knowledge to recognize their importance. Although finding a rare mint error or a flawless mint state red example is uncommon, the possibility continues inspiring collectors to inspect every 1991 Canadian cent they encounter. It is this combination of history, curiosity, patience, and the thrill of discovery that keeps the legacy of Canada's humble bronze penny alive. As the 21st century approached, the Canadian 1 cent coin entered the final chapter of its remarkable journey. For more than a century, the penny had played an essential role in everyday life, passing through the hands of millions of Canadians. Yet rising metal prices and production costs gradually made the coin more expensive to manufacture than its face value. Although the 1991 Canadian 1 cent still circulated normally, it belonged to one of the last generations of traditional bronze pennies before major economic changes reshaped Canadian coinage. Looking back today, this coin represents more than money. It represents the closing years of an era that future generations would remember with nostalgia. Every surviving 1991 cent reminds collectors of a time when even the smallest denomination held an important place in daily commerce. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1991 Canadian 1 cent is its ability to connect history with ordinary people. Unlike gold or silver coins that many families never owned, the humble penny belonged to everyone. It traveled through grocery stores, school cafeterias, vending machines, restaurants, and neighborhood shops, silently witnessing everyday Canadian life. Children learned to count money with pennies, families filled glass jars with spare change, and charitable organizations collected them to support important causes. Because of this universal presence, the 1991 cent carries not only monetary history, but also countless personal memories. Every scratch, every natural tone, and every worn edge tells the story of a coin that faithfully served millions before becoming a treasured collectible. Today, the search for extraordinary 1991 Canadian 1 cent coins continues across the numismatic world. Collectors carefully inspect inherited collections, estate sales, dealer inventories, old bank rolls, and forgotten coin albums, hopping to uncover a hidden rarity. Professional grading services have shown that only a very small percentage of surviving coins remain in exceptional mint state condition, with full original red color and nearly flawless surfaces. Genuine mint errors, including dramatic off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, and die cracks, remain especially desirable because each one represents a unique moment during the minting process. These discoveries remind collectors that remarkable treasures can still emerge from the most unexpected places, keeping excitement alive for both experienced numismatists and beginners alike. Modern technology has transformed the way collectors study the 1991 Canadian 1 cent. High-resolution digital photography, online auction archives, professional grading databases, and collector communities now allow enthusiasts from around the world to compare varieties and identify valuable characteristics with remarkable precision. What once required years of specialized knowledge can now be researched through detailed reference materials and expert discussions. Even so, careful observation remains the collector's greatest skill. Tiny differences in strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and originality often separate an ordinary coin from an exceptional one. This combination of traditional knowledge and modern technology continues expanding interest in Canadian pennies and ensures that the 1991 issue remains an important part of contemporary numismatics. Perhaps the greatest lesson offered by the 1991 Canadian 1 cent is that true numismatic value is built upon authenticity, condition, rarity, and historical significance, not internet rumors. Many videos and social media posts claim that every old penny is worth a fortune, but experienced collectors understand the facts. Most circulated 1991 Canadian cents are common and modestly valued. The coins that achieve strong prices are typically certified high-grade examples, proof-like or specimen issues in outstanding condition, or genuine mint errors verified by professional grading services. This truth does not make the coin any less fascinating. Instead, it highlights the importance of education, patience, and careful examination, allowing collectors to appreciate genuine rarity rather than exaggerated claims. In the end, the 1991 Canada 1 cent stands as a lasting symbol of Canadian history, craftsmanship, and national identity. Designed with the timeless maple leaves of George Edward Kruger Gray and bearing the distinguished portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, this small bronze coin carries a legacy far greater than its 1 cent denomination. It witnessed a changing nation, survived the transition into the modern era, and became part of the story that eventually led to the retirement of Canada's penny. Whether preserved in brilliant mint state condition, discovered as a rare mint error, or simply passed down through generations as a family keepsake, every authentic 1991 Canadian cent preserves a unique piece of Canada's heritage. And that is why collectors continue searching through old coin jars, forgotten albums, and inherited collections, because history has shown that extraordinary discoveries often begin with the smallest and most ordinary-looking coin. Step 3. Hidden among thousands of ordinary Canadian pennies lies a coin that quietly represents one of the final great chapters of Canada's traditional bronze cent, the 1993 Canada 1 cent. At first glance, it appears no different from countless other pennies that once filled cash registers and coin jars across the country. Yet this modest coin carries a remarkable legacy that stretches across royal history, national identity, artistic excellence, and the evolution of Canadian currency. Bearing the dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and the timeless maple leaf design by George Edward Kruger Gray, the 1993 cent symbolizes continuity in a rapidly changing world. While millions were struck for circulation, only a small number survived in exceptional mint state condition or as genuine mint errors, making them highly desirable among collectors today. The story of this coin is not measured by its face value, but by the history it preserves, the craftsmanship it displays, and the excitement it still creates for collectors searching for hidden treasures in the most ordinary places. The year 1993 marked an important moment in Canada's modern history. The nation was embracing new technology, expanding international trade, and preparing for the digital age, Yet everyday commerce still relied heavily on coins and cash. The humble 1-cent coin remained an essential part of daily transactions, passing from supermarkets to schools, restaurants to local businesses, and from one generation to another. Every Canadian carried pennies without imagining that less than 2 decades later, the denomination itself would disappear from circulation forever. The 1993 cent, therefore, represents more than a simple monetary unit. It captures a moment when traditional currency remained at the heart of Canadian life. Today, this coin serves as a historical reminder of a time when even the smallest denomination played a vital role in the nation's economy. The reverse of the 1993 Canadian 1 cent continues one of the longest-running and most recognizable designs in Canadian coinage. 2 beautifully engraved maple leaves, joined by a single stem, symbolize unity, endurance, and Canada's deep connection with nature. The artwork was created by renowned designer George Edward Kruger Gray, whose initials KG appear beneath the leaves as a lasting signature of his artistic contribution. Above the design appears the denomination 1 cent, while the inscriptions Canada and 1993 identify the issuing nation and year. Although the design appears simple, every engraved detail reflects decades of refinement and the remarkable precision achieved by the Royal Canadian Mint. This elegant composition has become one of Canada's most enduring national symbols, recognized instantly by collectors and citizens alike. Turning the coin over reveals the graceful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, surrounded by the Latin inscription Elizabethiidg Regina, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. By 1993, the Queen had already become one of the most experienced and respected monarchs in modern history. Her portrait on Canadian coins reflected stability, constitutional continuity, and the enduring relationship between Canada and the Crown. Unlike earlier youthful portraits, this mature effigy represented decades of public service and leadership throughout the Commonwealth. Every 1993 Canadian cent, therefore, became a miniature historical document, preserving not only a monetary denomination, but also the image of a monarch whose reign would eventually become the longest in Canadian history. This connection between royalty and everyday commerce adds remarkable historical depth to an otherwise ordinary circulation coin. Behind the production of every 1993 Canadian 1 cent stood the extraordinary expertise of the Royal Canadian Mint. Each bronze blank was manufactured to exact specifications before being struck under tremendous pressure using precision-engineered dies capable of producing millions of identical coins. Advanced quality control systems inspected the finished pieces to ensure sharp lettering, balanced strikes, and consistent metal composition. Despite these high standards, a very small number of coins escaped the mint, with striking errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, doubled details, or other manufacturing anomalies. These accidental varieties have become some of the most fascinating discoveries in modern Canadian numismatics, because each one tells the story of a unique moment inside the minting process. While ordinary circulated examples remain common, authenticated mint-era coins and exceptionally preserved mint-state specimens continue attracting serious collector interest around the world. Few people realize that the 1993 Canadian 1 cent belongs to one of the final generations of Canada's classic bronze pennies, before major changes in coin production transformed the country's smallest denomination. This coin was struck from an alloy containing approximately 98% copper, 1.75% tin, and 0.25% zinc, giving it a rich reddish appearance when newly minted. As years passed, exposure to air and moisture caused many examples to develop beautiful brown and chocolate-colored patinas through natural oxidation. Collectors classify these colors as red, RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN, with brilliant original red specimens being the most desirable. Every untouched mint-red coin serves as a rare reminder of how these pennies looked when they first left the Royal Canadian Mint, making exceptional examples increasingly difficult to find as decades continue to pass. Behind every ordinary-looking 1993 Canadian penny lies the possibility of an extraordinary discovery. During the minting process, even the world's most advanced equipment could occasionally produce unexpected mistakes. These genuine mint errors have become some of the most exciting treasures in Canadian numismatics. Collectors search carefully for off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, clipped planchets created from improperly cut blanks, die cracks crossing the coin's surface, doubled lettering, rotated dies, and dramatic striking abnormalities. Because these errors escaped quality inspection before entering circulation, every authenticated example represents a fascinating piece of minting history. Serious collectors often pay substantial premiums for spectacular error coins because each one is unique, making no two discoveries exactly alike. Another remarkable chapter in the history of the 1993 Canada 1 cent belongs to the special collector editions produced by the Royal Canadian Mint. Alongside circulation coins, the Mint also issued proof-like and specimen versions for annual collector sets. These coins were struck using specially prepared dies and carefully selected blanks, resulting in sharper details, smoother fields, and superior overall quality, unlike coins intended for everyday circulation. These collector issues were preserved immediately after striking, allowing many to survive in outstanding condition. Original government packaging further enhances their appeal among numismatists. Today, complete 1993 collector sets remain popular because they preserve the coin exactly as it appeared on the day it left the mint, untouched by circulation or environmental damage. As the popularity of Canadian coin collecting expanded during the 1990s, the 1993 1 cent gradually earned recognition as an essential piece in every modern Canadian cent collection. Numismatic clubs, exhibitions, and specialized publications encouraged enthusiasts to study even recent issues with remarkable attention to detail. Collectors no longer judged coins simply by age, but by rarity, preservation, strike quality, and historical significance. This shift in collecting philosophy elevated the importance of high-grade modern pennies, including the 1993 issue. Certified mint state examples with full original luster became increasingly competitive at auctions because far fewer survived in pristine condition than many people expected. The realization that modern coins could become valuable collectibles added fresh excitement to Canada's numismatic community. Perhaps the most fascinating truth about the 1993 Canadian 1 cent is that its greatest value often remains hidden from casual observation. To most people, it is merely an old penny worth 1 cent. Yet an experienced collector sees something entirely different, a carefully crafted bronze coin representing Canada's heritage, the artistry of George Edward Kruger Gray, the enduring image of Queen Elizabeth II, and the possibility of discovering an exceptional rarity. While most circulated 1993 cents are common and modestly valued, certified mint state red examples, proof-like or specimen issues, and genuine authenticated mint errors can attract significantly greater collector interest. The combination of history, craftsmanship, rarity, and the thrill of discovery ensures that the 1993 Canadian 1 cent continues to inspire collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world. Across Canada and beyond, professional coin grading has transformed the way collectors evaluate the 1993 Canada 1 cent. Two coins struck on the same day can have dramatically different values depending on their condition. Expert grading services examine every microscopic detail, including the sharpness of the strike, the originality of the surfaces, the brilliance of the luster, and even the smallest contact marks left during handling. Heavily circulated coin may remain an affordable collectible, while a flawless mint state red example preserved exactly as it left the Royal Canadian Mint can attract far greater collector interest. This careful grading process has made the finest surviving 1993 cents increasingly desirable because every year fewer untouched examples remain available in their original condition. Remarkable auction results have shown that modern Canadian pennies should never be underestimated. Although millions of 1993 1 cent coins entered circulation, only a tiny percentage possess the exceptional quality that serious collectors seek. Whenever a certified high-grade specimen, a beautifully preserved proof-like issue, or a dramatic mint error appears at a respected numismatic auction, competition among collectors often becomes intense. Experienced buyers understand that they are not simply purchasing a penny, They are acquiring one of the finest surviving examples of an important chapter in Canadian coinage. Auction records repeatedly demonstrate that rarity, originality, eye appeal, and professional certification determine value far more than age alone, making extraordinary 1993 cents surprisingly competitive within the collector market. Proper preservation plays an essential role in protecting the long-term value of the 1993 Canadian 1 cent. Many collectors unknowingly reduce the value of their coins by polishing or cleaning them in an attempt to make them appear newer. In reality, cleaning permanently damages the delicate mint surfaces and often leaves fine scratches that experienced experts immediately recognize. Serious numismatists recommend handling coins only by their edges, storing them in acid-free holders, and protecting them from humidity, fingerprints, and extreme temperatures. An untouched coin displaying its original surfaces is almost always more desirable than one that has been artificially cleaned. For collectors, patience and proper storage are often more valuable than any attempt to improve a coin's appearance. Even today, the search for exceptional 1993 Canadian 1 cent coins continues with remarkable enthusiasm. Collectors inspect inherited collections, forgotten piggy banks, estate sales, antique shops, coin dealer inventories, and unopened bank rolls in hopes of discovering an overlooked rarity. Every newly examined coin presents another opportunity to find a spectacular mint error, a pristine mint state red specimen, or a perfectly preserved proof-like issue. Although such discoveries are uncommon, they continue to occur, reminding the numismatic community that important treasures do not always emerge from famous museums or expensive collections. Sometimes, they are found inside ordinary homes, quietly waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their importance. Perhaps the greatest legacy of the 1993 Canada 1 cent lies in the way it connects art, history, and everyday life. The elegant maple leaves designed by George Edward Kruger Gray remain one of the most recognizable symbols ever placed on Canadian currency, while the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II reflects decades of constitutional stability and royal tradition. Together, these two designs transformed an ordinary bronze coin into a lasting symbol of Canadian identity. Although it carried a face value of only 1 cent, its historical significance has grown with every passing year. Today, collectors appreciate the 1993 cent not only for its potential rarity, but also for the remarkable story it tells. A story of craftsmanship, national pride, and the enduring legacy of one of Canada's most familiar and beloved coins. As history continued to move forward, the humble 1993 Canadian 1 cent quietly became part of the final generation of traditional Canadian pennies before the denomination itself came to an end. In 2012, the Government of Canada officially ended the distribution of 1 cent coins because manufacturing and handling costs had exceeded the coin's face value. Although the 1993 issue had circulated for nearly 2 decades before this decision, it suddenly gained new historical importance. It became a reminder of a time when pennies played a central role in every cash transaction across the country. Children learned arithmetic with them, families filled glass jars with them, and businesses counted them by the thousands every day. After the penny disappeared from circulation, surviving examples like the 1993 cent became lasting symbols of a chapter in Canadian history that would never return. Among experienced collectors, one lesson has remained unchanged for generations. Knowledge is the greatest treasure. Many internet videos and social media posts claim that every old Canadian penny is worth thousands or even millions of dollars, but reality is far more interesting. Most 1993 Canadian 1 cent coins found in circulation are common. The examples that command significant collector premiums are typically certified mint state red coins, carefully preserved proof-like or specimen issues, or authentic mint errors verified by professional grading services. Understanding this difference allows collectors to separate genuine rarities from exaggerated online claims. The excitement of coin collecting comes not from believing every penny is valuable, but from learning how to identify the truly exceptional pieces hidden among millions of ordinary coins. The worldwide community of Canadian coin collectors continues to grow with every passing year, ensuring that the 1993 Canada 1 cent remains an important part of modern numismatics. Collectors from Canada, the United States, Europe, and many other countries admire the elegant maple leaf design, the distinguished portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and the Royal Canadian Mint's exceptional craftsmanship. Coin shows, auctions, collector clubs, and online communities regularly exchange knowledge about high-grade examples, newly discovered mint errors, and preservation techniques. Every authenticated rarity contributes another piece to the ongoing story of Canadian coinage, proving that even relatively modern coins deserve careful study and appreciation. Perhaps the greatest achievement of the 1993 Canadian 1 cent is its ability to unite history, art, economics, and national identity within a single bronze coin measuring just over 19 millimeters in diameter. The graceful maple leaves designed by George Edward Kruger Gray continue to represent Canada's natural beauty, while the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II reflects decades of constitutional stability and royal tradition. Together, these designs transformed an everyday circulation coin into a lasting national symbol. Every genuine 1993 cent carries a unique journey, passing through countless hands, witnessing everyday life, and eventually finding its way into collections where it is preserved for future generations. Few coins illustrate Canada's modern history with such quiet elegance. In the end, the story of the 1993 Canada 1 cent reminds us that true value is not always measured by denomination. This small bronze coin witnessed the final years of Canada's traditional penny, represented one of the world's most respected monarchs, and carried the timeless maple leaves that symbolize an entire nation. While only a small number of high-grade certified examples, proof-like coins, specimen strikes, and genuine mint errors achieve premium values in today's collector market, every authentic 1993 cent preserves a meaningful chapter of Canadian history. Long after the penny disappeared from everyday circulation, its legacy continues to inspire collectors to search through forgotten coin jars, inherited albums, and family collections, hoping to uncover an overlooked treasure. And perhaps the greatest discovery is not simply finding a valuable coin, but realizing that even the smallest piece of currency can preserve an extraordinary story for generations to come. Step 4. Deep within forgotten coin jars, old family collections, and dusty wooden drawers, a humble 1998 Canada 1 cent quietly waits to tell one of the final stories of Canada's legendary penny. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than ordinary pocket change, yet this tiny coin represents a remarkable turning point in Canadian monetary history. Bearing the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II alongside the iconic maple leaves created by George Edward Kruger Gray, the 1998 cent symbolizes the nation's heritage during an era of rapid modernization. As Canada approached the 21st century, the penny remained an essential part of everyday commerce, even though its future was becoming increasingly uncertain. While millions of these coins entered circulation, only a select number survived in flawless mint state condition or emerged with genuine minting errors, transforming them into highly sought-after collectibles. The true story of the 1998 Canadian 1 cent is not about 1 cent. It is about history, craftsmanship, innovation, and the fascinating journey of one of Canada's most recognizable coins. The year 1998 marked an exciting period of change across Canada. Technology was advancing rapidly, internet communication was becoming part of everyday life, and the nation was preparing to enter a new millennium. Despite these modern developments, millions of Canadians still relied on cash for daily purchases, making the 1 cent coin one of the busiest pieces of currency in circulation. Every shopping trip, newspaper purchase, bus fare, and grocery transaction depended upon coins like the humble penny. Few people imagined that within little more than a decade, this familiar denomination would disappear forever. Looking back today, the 1998 cent represents one of the final generations of Canadian pennies to witness the closing years of 20th century commerce. It preserves the atmosphere of a nation balancing proud traditions with remarkable technological progress. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1998 Canadian 1 cent lies beneath its copper-colored surface. Unlike older pennies struck from solid bronze, The 1998 issue introduced a more modern construction using copper-plated zinc. Rising metal costs encouraged the Royal Canadian Mint to adopt this new composition while preserving the familiar appearance Canadians had known for generations. Although the coin looked almost identical to earlier bronze cents, its internal structure reflected an important technological evolution in Canadian minting. This engineering achievement reduced production costs without changing the classic appearance that people recognized instantly. For collectors, the 1998 issue therefore marks an important transition between traditional coinage methods and modern manufacturing techniques, making it historically significant beyond its face value alone. The reverse design of the 1998 Canada 1 cent continues one of the most enduring artistic traditions in Canadian numismatics. The graceful pair of maple leaves, connected by a single stem, was created by the distinguished designer George Edward Kruger Gray, whose initials KG appear beneath the design. For decades, these maple leaves have symbolized Canada's forests, resilience, unity, and national pride. Above the artwork appears the denomination 1 cent, while below, the inscription Canada and the year 1998 firmly establish the coin's identity. Although the design remained largely unchanged for generations, its timeless elegance allowed it to become one of the most recognizable coin reverses in the country's history. Every carefully engraved line demonstrates the remarkable craftsmanship that transformed an everyday circulation coin into a lasting national emblem admired around the world. Turning to the obverse reveals the distinguished portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, surrounded by the Latin inscription Elizabeth Regina, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. By 1998, Her Majesty had ruled for more than 4 decades, becoming a symbol of continuity and stability throughout Canada and the Commonwealth. The portrait used on this coin reflects a mature monarch whose reign witnessed extraordinary political, technological, and cultural transformations around the globe. Every 1998 Canadian cent, therefore, became more than currency. It became a miniature historical record connecting everyday Canadians with one of the longest-serving sovereigns in modern history. Combined with the maple leaf design, the Queen's portrait gives this small coin a remarkable balance of royal tradition and national identity, ensuring its place within Canada's rich numismatic heritage. Behind every 1998 Canadian 1 cent stood the remarkable engineering of the Royal Canadian Mint, an institution respected worldwide for combining advanced technology with exceptional craftsmanship. Before a single coin reached circulation, thousands of zinc blanks were carefully manufactured, coated with copper plating, polished to perfection, and inspected under strict quality control standards. Powerful coining presses then struck each blank with tremendous force, transferring every tiny detail of the Queen's portrait and the delicate maple leaves in a fraction of a second. Despite this sophisticated process, no minting operation is completely free from unexpected mistakes. Occasionally, production errors escaped inspection, creating rare coins that would later become highly desirable among collectors. These accidental varieties transformed ordinary pennies into fascinating historical artifacts sought after by numismatists across the world. Among the greatest attractions for collectors are the genuine 1998 Canadian 1 cent mint eras. While millions of perfectly struck pennies entered circulation, a very small number displayed remarkable manufacturing anomalies. Some were struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing. Others appeared on clipped planchets, where the blank had been incorrectly cut before striking. Certain examples developed dramatic die cracks, while others showed doubled letters, rotated dies, weak strikes, or other unusual characteristics caused during production. These errors were never intentionally created. They resulted from rare mechanical events inside the mint. Once authenticated by professional grading services, genuine error coins often attract far greater collector interest than ordinary circulation examples, because every error tells a unique story that cannot be repeated exactly. Alongside circulation coins, the Royal Canadian Mint also produced proof-like and specimen versions of the 1998 one sent specifically for collectors. Unlike everyday coins distributed through banks, these special editions received far greater attention during production. Carefully prepared blanks, polished dies, and enhanced striking techniques produced sharper details, smoother surfaces, and brighter finishes. Many were immediately sealed in official collector packaging, protecting them from scratches, fingerprints, and environmental damage. As a result, numerous proof-like and specimen coins survive today in remarkable condition. For collectors seeking the finest examples of the 1998 Canadian cent, these official collector issues represent an important part of modern Canadian numismatics and showcase the Royal Canadian Mint's commitment to excellence. As the internet began connecting collectors around the world during the late 1990s, interest in modern Canadian coins expanded dramatically. The 1998 Canada 1 cent soon became an essential addition to complete Canadian cent collections, encouraging enthusiasts to compare strike quality, color, preservation, and unusual varieties with greater precision than ever before. Online discussions, collector clubs, auction catalogs, and numismatic publications helped spread knowledge about grading standards and genuine mint errors. This growing exchange of information inspired thousands of collectors to examine their own pennies more carefully, realizing that even relatively modern coins could possess significant historical and collector importance when preserved in exceptional condition. Perhaps the most remarkable feature of the 1998 Canadian 1 cent is the mystery that still surrounds countless surviving examples. Every year, collectors continue searching through inherited albums, forgotten bank rolls, estate collections, antique shops, and household coin jars, hoping to discover an overlooked rarity. Although most circulated 1998 Canadian cents are common and modestly valued, exceptional mint state red coins, official proof-like or specimen issues, and authenticated mint errors continue to command much stronger collector interest. That possibility of uncovering something extraordinary inside an ordinary-looking penny keeps the excitement of numismatics alive. It proves that history is not always hidden inside gold or silver. Sometimes it survives within the smallest coin, quietly waiting to be recognized. Beyond its humble appearance, the 1998 Canada 1 cent entered a world where condition could completely transform its collector value. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC carefully examine every surviving example under magnification, evaluating strike sharpness, original mint luster, surface preservation, and eye appeal. Two coins struck on the same day can receive dramatically different grades depending on how they were stored over the years. A heavily circulated penny may remain an interesting historical keepsake, while a flawless mint state red specimen with blazing original color can become one of the finest known examples of its year. As fewer untouched coins survive with each passing decade, collectors continue competing for the highest graded pieces, proving that preservation is often just as important as rarity. Remarkable auction stories have demonstrated that even a modern coin like the 1998 Canadian 1 cent can capture the attention of serious collectors. Although millions were produced, only a very limited number remain in exceptional certified condition or display spectacular minting errors. Whenever an authenticated high-grade red example, a dramatic off-center strike, or a beautifully preserved specimen coin appears at a respected auction, interest can quickly grow among collectors who specialize in modern Canadian coinage. These auction results teach an important lesson. Collector value is determined by condition, rarity, originality, and demand, not simply by the date on the coin. Every outstanding example that reaches the market strengthens the reputation of the 1998 cent as an important collectible within Canada's modern numismatic history. Protecting a 1998 Canadian 1 cent correctly is one of the most important responsibilities of every collector. Many valuable coins have permanently lost collector appeal because someone attempted to polish or clean them, believing that a brighter appearance would increase their worth. In reality, professional numismatists strongly discourage cleaning because it removes the original mint surface and leaves fine scratches that immediately reduce desirability. The safest approach is to handle the coin only by its edges, avoid touching the surfaces with bare fingers, and store it inside acid-free holders or protective capsules away from moisture and extreme temperatures. A naturally preserved coin tells an authentic story, while an altered one loses part of its historical character. For this reason, originality remains one of the most respected qualities in the collecting world. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1998 Canada 1 cent is that remarkable discoveries are still possible today. Every year, collectors examine forgotten family collections, unopened bank rolls, estate sales, flea markets, antique stores, and old coin jars in search of overlooked treasures. Occasionally, a beautifully preserved mint state red coin or a genuine mint era emerges from decades of storage, surprising even experienced numismatists. These discoveries remind the collecting community that history often hides in the most ordinary places. While such finds are uncommon, they continue inspiring people to study their coins carefully rather than dismissing them as ordinary pocket change. The thrill of uncovering an unexpected rarity remains one of the greatest rewards in Canadian coin collecting. Perhaps the greatest legacy of the 1998 Canadian 1 cent is the remarkable way it combines modern engineering with timeless tradition. It reflects the Royal Canadian Mint's transition to more economical production methods while preserving the classic maple leaf design that generations of Canadians had come to recognize instantly. It also carries the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, whose reign connected decades of Canadian history through a single enduring image. Together, these elements transformed a simple circulation coin into a meaningful historical artifact. Today, collectors admire the 1998 cent not only for its potential rarity, but also for the important story it tells about Canada's economy, technology, craftsmanship, and national identity during the final years of the 20th century. As Canada entered the 21st century, the 1998 Canada 1 cent quietly continued its journey through millions of daily transactions, never revealing that it belonged to one of the last generations of pennies before the denomination itself disappeared. In 2012, the Royal Canadian Mint ended the distribution of the 1 cent coin because producing and handling it had become more expensive than its face value. That historic decision transformed every surviving 1998 penny into a reminder of an era when the smallest denomination still played an essential role in Canadian commerce. What was once ordinary pocket change suddenly became a historical artifact, connecting modern collectors with the final years of a tradition that had lasted for more than a century. Today, each authentic 1998 cent represents the closing chapter of Canada's legendary penny story. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding surrounding the 1998 Canada 1 cent comes from exaggerated claims on the internet. Many videos suggest that every 1998 penny is worth thousands or even millions of dollars, but the truth is more realistic and far more interesting. Most 1998 Canadian 1 cent coins found in circulation are common and have modest collector value. The coins that achieve premium prices are those with exceptional qualities, such as mint state red, RD preservation, official proof-like or specimen finishes, or genuine authenticated mint errors including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, doubled dies, or dramatic die cracks. Understanding these facts helps collectors focus on real rarity instead of unrealistic expectations and builds long-term knowledge that is far more valuable than internet myths. Around the world, thousands of collectors continue searching for outstanding examples of the 1998 Canada 1 cent, proving that modern coins can inspire just as much excitement as historic issues. Numismatic exhibitions, coin clubs, grading services, and international auctions regularly feature modern Canadian cents alongside much older coins because condition, originality, and historical significance often outweigh simple age. Every beautifully preserved mint state example, every authenticated mint era, and every carefully protected collector edition adds another piece to the story of Canada's currency. As more circulated coins disappear through loss, damage, or neglect, untouched examples become increasingly important for preserving the nation's numismatic heritage for future generations. The lasting importance of the 1998 Canada 1 cent extends far beyond its purchasing power. It represents the artistic legacy of George Edward Kruger Gray, whose maple leaf design became one of the most recognizable symbols ever placed on Canadian currency. It also preserves the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, reflecting decades of constitutional continuity, national stability, and royal tradition. Combined with the Royal Canadian Mint's transition to copper-plated zinc technology, this coin captures an important moment in the evolution of Canadian coinage. Every genuine example tells a unique story, not only of its production, but also of the countless hands through which it passed before becoming a collectible piece of history. In the end, the 1998 Canada 1 cent proves that history is not always written in gold or silver. Sometimes, it survives inside the smallest coin that people once overlooked every single day. Although only high-grade certified examples, proof-like coins, specimen strikes, and genuine mint errors command significant premiums in today's collector market, every authentic 1998 cent preserves an important chapter of Canada's past. From the timeless maple leaves of G.E. Kruger Gray to the enduring portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, this humble coin carries a legacy of craftsmanship, innovation, and national pride. Long after the penny disappeared from everyday circulation, its story continues to inspire collectors to search through forgotten coin jars, inherited collections, and old albums, knowing that every coin has a story, and sometimes the smallest coin tells the greatest one of all. Step 5. What if one small Canadian penny could tell the story of 50 years that changed the history of an entire nation? Hidden among ordinary pocket change is the remarkable 2002 Canada 1 cent, carrying the special 1952-2002 double date and the distinctive P mint mark. At first glance, it appears to be just another penny with the familiar maple leaves, yet this coin celebrates one of the most significant milestones in Canadian royal history, the Golden Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II, marking 50 years since her accession to the throne in 1952. Although millions of Canadians once spent this coin without a second thought, collectors now recognize it as a commemorative issue that captures history, tradition, and modern minting technology in a single piece. While most circulated examples remain common, high-grade certified coins and genuine mint-era varieties have earned special attention in the numismatic world. This is the extraordinary story of a penny that honors half a century of royal service and Canada's enduring heritage. Long before this commemorative coin entered circulation, history took a dramatic turn on 6 February 1952. On that day, King George VI passed away, and 25-year-old Princess Elizabeth unexpectedly became Queen Elizabeth II while traveling in Kenya. The news echoed across the Commonwealth, including Canada, where preparations immediately began for a new royal era. Government documents, postage stamps, military insignia, and Canadian coins would all eventually bear the image of the new monarch. Few people could have imagined that the young Queen's reign would continue for 7 decades and become one of the longest in world history. 50 years later, Canada celebrated that remarkable journey by placing the 1952-2002 double date on millions of commemorative 1 cent coins, forever linking this small denomination to one of the greatest milestones in modern constitutional history. As Canada celebrated the Golden Jubilee in 2002, the atmosphere across the country reflected both national pride and deep respect for the Crown. Schools organized educational programs, communities hosted commemorative events, and the Royal Canadian Mint contributed by producing special circulation coins honoring the Queen's 50 years on the throne. Unlike expensive collector medals reserved for museums or wealthy collectors, this 1 cent coin carried the celebration into the pockets of ordinary Canadians. Every purchase made with this penny quietly spread awareness of an event that united generations. It was a reminder that history is not always preserved inside monuments or palaces. Sometimes it travels from one hand to another through everyday currency. The reverse of the 2002 Canadian 1 cent continued one of the country's most iconic artistic traditions. The graceful pair of maple leaves, joined by a single stem, was created by the renowned designer George Edward Kruger Gray, whose initials KG appear beneath the design. For decades, these maple leaves had symbolized Canada's resilience, natural beauty, and national identity. Above them appears the denomination 1 cent, while below, the inscription Canada proudly identifies the issuing nation. Although the reverse design remained familiar, its pairing with the special Golden Jubilee obverse transformed this ordinary-looking penny into a meaningful commemorative issue that connected Canada's natural heritage with an extraordinary royal anniversary. Turning the coin over reveals the dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth Regina. The Latin phrase translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, continuing a centuries-old tradition found on Commonwealth coinage. Beneath the portrait appears the commemorative 1952-2002 double date, immediately distinguishing this issue from regular 1 cent coins. Rather than celebrating a single year, the coin honors 50 years of continuous service as Canada's constitutional monarch. The portrait itself represents stability, continuity, and dedication, reminding collectors that this coin marks not only an anniversary, but one of the most remarkable reigns in modern history. Behind every 2002 Golden Jubilee 1 cent stood one of the world's most respected minting institutions, the Royal Canadian Mint. By the beginning of the 21st century, the Mint had become a global leader in innovation, producing circulation coins for Canada and many other nations. The 2002 Jubilee cent was manufactured using advanced technology that ensured remarkable consistency and durability. Unlike older bronze pennies, this commemorative issue was struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet, reducing production costs while preserving the traditional copper appearance Canadians recognized for generations. The small P mint mark on the coin signified the mint's plated multiply technology, an important advancement in Canadian coin production. This tiny letter may seem insignificant, but it represents a major technological milestone in the history of the Royal Canadian Mint and marks the transition into a more efficient era of coin manufacturing. Beyond its historical importance, the 2002 Jubilee cent fascinates collectors because of the rare minting mistakes that occasionally escaped quality control. During high-speed production, mechanical problems sometimes created unusual coins that differed dramatically from ordinary circulation pieces. Some examples were struck off-center, causing part of the design to disappear, while others displayed clipped planchets, die cracks, doubled lettering, rotated dies, or weak strikes. These genuine mint errors were never intentionally produced. They were accidental results of the manufacturing process. Because only a very small number entered circulation, authenticated error coins have become highly desirable among specialists. Every genuine error tells its own unique story, making these pieces far more intriguing than ordinary pennies and reminding collectors that even modern minting technology cannot eliminate every unexpected surprise. Another remarkable chapter in the story of the 2002 Golden Jubilee 1 cent belongs to the special collector editions produced alongside the circulation issue. The Royal Canadian Mint prepared proof-like and specimen versions using specially polished dies, carefully selected blanks, and enhanced striking techniques. These coins displayed sharper details, smoother surfaces, and exceptional eye appeal compared with everyday circulation pieces. Many were immediately sealed in official collector packaging, protecting them from fingerprints, scratches, and environmental damage. Decades later, these preserved examples remain among the finest surviving representatives of the Jubilee issue, for collectors seeking perfection. These official mint products represent the highest standards of Canadian craftsmanship and continue attracting strong interest in the numismatic market. As interest in Canadian coins expanded across the internet and international collector communities, the 2002 Jubilee cent gained recognition far beyond Canada's borders. Numismatists from Europe, Asia, Australia, and the United States admired the coin not only for its commemorative significance, but also for its connection to Queen Elizabeth II, one of the most recognized monarchs in modern history. Coin exhibitions, grading services, and auction houses began documenting exceptional examples, encouraging collectors to preserve rather than spend these special pennies. Although millions were produced, truly outstanding mint-state examples with full original red surfaces became increasingly difficult to locate. This growing worldwide appreciation transformed the commemorative penny into a respected modern collectible whose historical importance extended well beyond its face value. One of the greatest lessons taught by the 2002 Canada Golden Jubilee 1 cent is that history often hides inside the simplest objects. At first glance, it appears no different from countless other pennies, yet a closer examination reveals a remarkable combination of royal celebration, artistic excellence, technological innovation, and national identity. The double date 1952-2002 captures 50 years of dedicated service by Queen Elizabeth II, while the timeless maple leaves designed by G.E. Kruger Gray continue representing Canada's enduring spirit. Even today, collectors search old coin jars, inherited collections, and forgotten albums, hoping to discover beautifully preserved examples or genuine mint errors. Every authentic Jubilee cent carries a meaningful story, proving that even the smallest coin can preserve one of the greatest chapters in Canadian history. As years passed, the 2002 Golden Jubilee 1 cent quietly became more than a commemorative coin. It became a historical witness to the final decade of Canada's circulating penny. Every time this coin changed hands, it carried the memory of Queen Elizabeth II's 50-year reign while continuing to serve Canadians in everyday commerce. Few people realized that only 10 years later, in 2012, the Canadian 1 cent coin would be withdrawn from circulation because production costs had risen above its face value. This unexpected chapter transformed the 2002 Jubilee cent into an even more meaningful collectible. Instead of being remembered only as a Golden Jubilee issue, it also became one of the last commemorative pennies to circulate before the end of Canada's century-long 1 cent tradition. Today, collectors see it as a bridge between Canada's rich monetary past and its modern cashless future. Professional grading has played a major role in revealing the true collector value of the 2002 Jubilee cent. Organizations such as PCGS and NGC carefully evaluate each coin under magnification, examining strike quality, mint luster, surface preservation, and originality. Two coins bearing the same date may look similar to the casual observer, yet their certified grades can place them in completely different value categories. A circulated example usually remains affordable, while a flawless mint state red RD coin with brilliant original surfaces can attract much stronger collector demand. Coins preserved inside original mint packaging or carefully stored from the day they were issued often achieve the highest grades, making them especially desirable for serious Canadian coin collectors. Every experienced numismatist understands that preserving originality is far more important than making a coin appear shiny. Unfortunately, many commemorative pennies have lost collector appeal because someone attempted to polish or clean them. Cleaning removes the delicate mint surface, alters the natural finish, and often leaves microscopic scratches that experts immediately recognize. For this reason, collectors recommend handling coins only by their edges, storing them in acid-free holders or protective capsules, and keeping them away from moisture, chemicals, and excessive heat. A naturally toned coin with untouched surfaces tells an authentic historical story, while a cleaned coin loses much of its numismatic character. Proper preservation ensures that future generations will be able to appreciate the coin exactly as it left the Royal Canadian Mint. Perhaps the greatest misconception surrounding the 2002 Golden Jubilee 1 cent comes from sensational internet claims suggesting that every example is worth a fortune. The reality is more balanced and far more interesting. Most circulated 2002 Jubilee cents are common and have modest collector value. The coins that command significant premiums are typically those with exceptional certified grades, official proof-like or specimen finishes, or genuine authenticated mint errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, doubled dies, or dramatic die cracks. Understanding these facts helps collectors focus on genuine rarity rather than exaggerated stories. Knowledge, patience, and careful examination remain the most valuable tools in identifying coins that truly stand out. In the end, the 2002 Canada Golden Jubilee 1 cent proves that greatness is not measured by size or denomination, but by the history it preserves. This small commemorative coin honors 50 remarkable years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, celebrates the artistry of G.E. Kruger Gray's timeless maple leaves, showcases the technological innovation represented by the P Mint mark, and captures an unforgettable chapter in Canada's royal and numismatic heritage. Long after the penny disappeared from everyday circulation, this commemorative issue continues inspiring collectors to search through forgotten coin jars, inherited albums, and family collections, knowing that every authentic coin carries a story. And while only the finest certified examples and genuine mint errors achieve the highest collector values, every 2002 Golden Jubilee 1 cent remains a lasting symbol of Canada's history, tradition, and the extraordinary legacy of one of the world's most enduring monarchs.